la alfombra roja, bueno, tenemos la nariz roja para ti. Bienvenido.
I can't. Wait. I'm going to come down here. I like to smell you. Before I begin, I tell all of my audiences that I answer all my mail. I am a letter writer. I've never used a computer or had an iPhone. I don't know how to use them. I am not wanting to learn. I write letters. Ironically, I tell you to go to our website to get my address. I don't know how to get to my website, but the address is patchadams.org. I answer 400 to 600 letters every month for over 40 years. I write 130 countries, and I'm caught up. I don't have a big stack of mail. Even though I travel 300 days a year, I answer your letter very quickly. There are 2 rules. It needs to be in English or American. And it needs a very clear return address. If you use your handwriting, sometimes it's creative. And what I put on the letter is different than what you wrote. So the most important words you write are your return address. Hear me, I have never not answered a letter. So, if you need a friend, if you have ideas no one will listen to, if you have a project and you would like some input, or if you just want to say horrible things about me, write me. I love doing it. Today's talk is about living a life of joy, where I am proposing the idea of never having another bad day as something easy to do. So if you want to be miserable periodically in your life, you might want to leave, because I will show it's really easy to be happy all of the time. Beware of how much you will like it. So I'm going to give you some of my background to tell you why I feel qualified to talk about happiness. I am 70 years old. I am a World War II baby. My father was a professional soldier. My first 16 years, I grew up on military bases because the United States loves to do violence everywhere. I was traveling with my father and lived on military bases. I was a strange, weird, nerd, dweeb, dork, sissy boy, and so I was bullied a lot as a child on an army base. And so I didn't start clowning because I wanted to be funny, but I knew that if I could make the bully laugh, they didn't hit their fool. So I started to clown to save my butt, not to be funny. At the age of 16, my father died from war. But the truth is, I never had a father. He died in his soul because he was a soldier. Because war steals your soul. It is never right to hurt another human being. And the most important reason I'm here for you is that your country and my country are suffering from an excess of violence. And I know we can stop it through love. So, we were living overseas. Most of my childhood I lived outside of the United States. In 1961, we moved back to the United States, to the southern states, where our black population had no human rights. They couldn't use a public toilet. And that's when my life changed. I realized my country was fake. There was no democracy. That our Constitution was bullshit. That We accepted the fact that a public drinking fountain, a restaurant, a hotel would not let black people go there, and people would just feel like that's normal. So I realized my country was fake and religion was fake. Jesus lets everybody drink from the drinking fountain, so there weren't any Christians in the United States. I wish we'd had Pope Francis. He would have straightened them out. And so I first went crazy. 3 times in 1 year at 17, I was in a mental hospital wanting to kill myself. I did not want to live in a world of violence and injustice. Everything you like about me came from my mother, but she was not an activist. And I didn't know that when you see something you don't like, you rebel. You try to change it. And I wasn't good at killing myself, and I'm glad. Between the 2nd and 3rd hospital, I was present at Martin Luther King's famous "I Have a Dream" speech. And I realized I was with my tribe, people who want nonviolent revolution. And so in the 3rd hospital, lightning struck. You don't kill yourself, stupid. You make revolution. Ah, revolution, what a beautiful word. It means things can be different. That's what it means. Revolution means it doesn't have to be, art doesn't have to be this way, music doesn't have to be this way, governments don't have to be this way, hate doesn't have to be this way. And so I made 2 decisions that shaped my life now for 52 years. The first was, what am I going to do? And I was a science person, and I realized I was looking for a love job for men. Women had all the love jobs. Nurse, teacher, psychologist, social worker. Men had violent jobs. And that's why doctors weren't about love, they were about being the boss. Which are doctors all over the world. I didn't know that. I thought doctors loved their patients. And so I went to medical school, and in our country, medicine is not a service, it's a business, the #1 business. 19% of our gross national product. The #1 reason people lose their home is their medical bill. I didn't know this. I didn't know it was a greedy business, so I said, I'm going to be a free doctor and work it out. And so I've been a doctor 45 years. I've never made $1 from being a doctor. That was easy. The other decision was more difficult. How can I be an instrument for peace and justice and care every minute of my life? If I am awake, I'm working. And that's when I decided to be 6 qualities. Happy, funny, loving, cooperative, creative, and thoughtful. That was going to be my instrument for change. I said it simply when I started that I was going to be happy the rest of my life. And I have had 52 years of uninterrupted happiness. I make me. You understand? I'm not the consequence of my society or television or what I was taught. And every minute I am deciding who to be, because I will work for peace and justice and care. Well, woo! And this is when I found out my mother gave me self-esteem. I love me. Thank you, Mom. And that's interesting to me because in my 48 years of interviewing people, many thousands, and my interviews are long, I found 3% of the people I interviewed loved themselves. So almost no one in the United States loves themselves. I love me. gave me self-esteem. I didn't have to develop into a person who could work for peace and justice. I was that person. I just had to decide what I was going to do, and I decided. I was 18, I was too weird to get dates, and too smart to have any problems in school, so I had all this free time. And so I left that hospital on fire. Yeah! To experiment. I already was an extreme extrovert. And so, for 2 years, every day, I spent 2 hours calling up wrong numbers on the phone to practice talking with people. What tone, what timbre, what subject matter, what personality, what subjects will keep a stranger on the phone for as long as you want. I got really good. It's a wonderful skill to have, and I still do it if someone calls me up and it's a wrong number. The other thing, I spent 10 hours a week going in Washington, D.C., up and down elevators. Why? Because once that door shuts, there they are, your people, with no escape. And let's see, can you come up here, please? Yes, I'm sorry. We will demonstrate. This is a man on the elevator. There's a wall here. He can't escape. My first experiment was this one. Normally, and it's so crazy, as much as we want to be loved, what do we do on an elevator? The door opens, we show them our cooler. That's interesting. So this was my first experiment. The door opens. Hola! Okay. So notice he can't go back. There he is. So I had questions. What do I have to do to take the first moment of fear, or oh my God, who's this person? And turn it into, this is interesting. Here's my secret, okay? You want a secret? Yes. Okay, twinkle in the eye. Okay, give me your twinkle. Sparkly eyes. Sparkly? Oh, nice. Sparkly? Okay, and what happens with sparkly? Smile on the face. It's a reflex. Very hard to be sparkly and not smiling. Third thing, a willingness to greet. Hola. So I found out that almost everybody relaxed. Even men who are always worried about homosexuals. So, and then I started to go, how do I make this comfortable? How do I make this comfortable? How do I make this comfortable? Okay, it's so funny. We have a society that says everyone is a stranger and no one is a friend until they pass these 10 things. Why not decide that everyone is a friend until they prove otherwise? So then the whole world is your relative. Hey, ¿qué pasa? And that all I had to do was be happy, to be friendly. Wow. It means that all 7.3 billion people on this planet are cousins. You only have to decide. And so I've been living happy every day, all day long, for 52 years. That's why I feel qualified to talk about living a life of joy. Let's define it. What is happiness? Okay, I define it as happiness is that state of being where one's celebration of life is obvious by their actions. I'm not talking about inner peace. I'm saying you are so damned happy, it shows. Okay? People look at you publicly and they see you're vibrant. Because you're carrying what? What's the secret? Twinkle, twinkle, smiley, smiley, hola, hola. And I'll tell you what I'm not talking about. Happiness as a reward for something. Okay? I will be happy if I win the lottery. I will be happy if she kisses me. I am saying happiness is a platform from which you launch your life. I am happy, how do I spend it? I'm not saying that it's some long and hard journey, that if I take this personal growth course and I take that book that I'm reading, Paulo Coelho, and I'm reading all these things, that I might have a good weekend. I'm saying you would not dare insult the privilege it is to be born by wasting it on a miserable day. How did we get here? You know, how did we get to a place where if you have everything, you're still miserable, which is what the psychiatric profession and certainly the pharmaceutical companies depend on. Because the short form of what I'm saying is, if you have food and a friend, what are you bitching about? And I mean that. How did we get there? Certainly we never had an education on joy. It's not taught in any school. No school in the world teaches love. The most important thing in life isn't taught in a single school, 1 hour, K through 12. Men must have been in charge, is my opinion. Look at the media, the news. The news is all bad news. There's no good news newspaper. A daily newspaper where the front section are fabulous, wonderful things around the world, and then the local news is fabulous, wonderful things locally. No, we have international murder, intrigue, and horrible things that the United States has done. The middle section are horrible things and murders that happen locally. And then sports. Multi-millionaires playing with their balls. Why is that interesting? I mean, you think you have 1 day off as a man. You're working 6 days a week. And you spend your 1 day off sitting your butt on the sofa watching multi-millionaires play with their balls and think you're doing something. You even say, this is my team. Oh yeah, invite them over. It's so interesting to me if one studies psychology or psychiatry, it looks like happiness is not a possibility. That's what you need as a medication. And if you've ever been to a psychiatric convention, it looks like they all are on a medication. Or need one. We love suffering. Oh, we love suffering so much. It's so interesting how much we love it. You know, the United States is said to be the richest country of the world, and almost all the patients I've had that are psychologically troubled have everything. I mean, it's not funny personally, but cosmically it's very funny that you can have everything and be miserable. Maybe it means that stuff is not happiness. Position is not happiness. Maybe. As you watch the human world and see how much they celebrate misery, the elevator is a great experience. Here is a little box where you can make a friend. But no, you turn around and ignore them. That. You walk down the street of a city in the United States, and it looks like everyone is going to the psychologist. It's hard to find, on a city block in New York City, you can have 200 people, and you can't see one twinkle. We love misery so much because it is a great way to control. You don't have much rebellion if people are miserable because they're worried about themselves. Certainly not healthy rebellion. Let's take this psychiatric profession. In medical school, I did not get one vision for healthy mental health. Clearly, none of my professors had it. There was no indication. Freud, in one of his last books, Civilization and Its Discontent, said maybe mental illness is a healthy response to a messed up society. Can we all go, So it's actually healthy to be messed up if the society is messed up, so that you're tipped to do revolution. All right, feeling good now. So what can I say about happiness? Not much. It's a choice. You wake up in the morning, you say, what personality will I put on today? I think I'll suffer. Okay. In my sense, it is strictly a choice. You decide who you're going to be, and you be that person. You can blame it on anything you want. It's a personal choice. I'm also a person that I don't think I ever made anyone happy. I don't think I ever made anyone sad. I think a person decides who they are. So when I clown, I don't think I'm making this person happy. I'm having fun. If they accidentally are enjoying themselves, fine. That's why I don't want new clowns to think when they don't make someone laugh that they're failing. They're doing great. And I don't think it is an ethical thing. Good to be happy, good person, nice, you'll get to heaven. Bad to be sad, bad person. I think it's just a damned old choice. But wait, don't believe anything I say. Do your own personal study, okay? 2 months study, scientific. Now, I'm old school, where I would have a pad of paper and a pen, because I don't have an iPhone. Okay, but you can use your iPhone. The first month, be miserable, because you're studying being miserable, okay? So you wake up with your partner in the morning, you look over and go, who are you? You know, how did they respond? How did you feel? Okay, fine. You go into the bathroom, you look in the mirror. You go downstairs, you check the dog, you check the cat, tell the kids to make their own damn breakfast, you slam the door, and you're ready to go. And all through the day, remember, this is strictly a scientific study. You would never do this in your real life. They're trying to understand the effects on you of being miserable. So, in driving, you're honking your horse, especially in Mexico City. You go into your office building and you make sure the door shuts on the person who needed you to hold it because they're carrying packages. And whoever is under you in your office, you're really nasty to, strictly for scientific study. And whoever is over you, you are kissing quads. Okay? And so for 1 month you study, what is the impact of all of this misery on you? So that you can get a really close look. Do I want to be miserable? Okay, 2nd month, be happy, adorable, sweet, kind. Okay, so you wake up with your partner. You cannot believe your good fortune that this person loves you. How is it even possible? So you call in sick and have 2 days of yum-yum. You get up, you go and look in the mirror. You go downstairs, you cuddle the dog, you cuddle the cat. You give the kids exactly what they want for breakfast, maybe a little more of the nice stuff. You go out there, you pick up some friends, take them to work. For the toll, you pay the toll of the people behind you. You know, you're at your office building, you're holding the door going, you know, it may take you an hour and a half to get in because you're holding the door. Good morning. You're aware of everyone in your office who is hurting. You might bring this person some flowers. You might take this person out to lunch. You might give them a compliment if you know that the other boss is a jerk. You're friendly, you're nice, everywhere you go. Strictly for scientific study. You would never do that in your real life. And at the end of 2 months of your own personal study, you decide which one you like. Because I tricked you. You did it, you understand. You gave yourself miserable, which you already probably knew about. But you gave yourself 1 month of just bliss. You did it. I don't have to tell you how to do it. You already learned. There are 3 parts of the celebration of pain and suffering. I call it the pain paradigm. That concern me in my relationship as a physician, a friend, a human being, and their loneliness, boredom, and fear. It is absolutely clear in everything I've ever learned that there is no human pain worse than loneliness. To not have one friend. 20th century literature all over the world magnificently describes. You have no one in your life that just thinking of them bells ring, woo! That's what a friend is. How do I know a patient has a friend? When they think of their friend, it is impossible to suffer. I mean that. That's also, I've never believed in God in my life, never for 1 moment. But how I know someone believes in God, they can't suffer. You can try to have a friend. But what a friend is, it's so beautiful an experience, they live in your head. They're singing and dancing and cuddling all the time. That's a friend, normal, regular friend. But if you don't think anyone loves you, no amount of winning anything or how you look, no amount of wealth, nothing cuts it. Prozac, Xanax, Zoloft, or Paxil either. They just drug you. And then if you feel good, you blame it on the drug. If you feel good, blame yourself. And blame what you know that possesses in your head. Friends, God, nature, the arts. If they are in your consciousness, you cannot suffer. I promise you, you can think you have a friend, but if you're not free of suffering, it's not quite there. Loneliness, we must get skilled at having friends. And we heard about it earlier, right? What's the secret? Twinkle, twinkle, twinkle. You see your twinkles? What happens? The world is yours. And you can do experiments, okay? When you go to a cafe, look around the cafe and think, who is the person there's no way I would sit with them? And sit with them. But unless you hide in your room, you're around people all the time. So every human being is your curiosity for a growth towards connection, towards friendship. If they're very damaged, it may be hard, and so you have an extra special. Some people want to climb Mount Everest. They love it. When I go to a hospital by myself to climb, I ask the nurses, who is suffering the most? Not because I think I can do something, but because I want to be present. So there is no exploration more important to you than how to be friendly. I would claim you can have thousands of friends. One is enough. You eliminate loneliness with one friend. Holy poo-poo. One friend. Nice to have 10, but not better than the one. Just 10 different ones. You will like it. In clowning, you are choosing to say, I'm going to go to this person and be a friend. This person and be a friend. This person and be a friend. You can be in a mental hospital. You can be in a prison. You can be anywhere as a clown. And you're deciding, at least in that moment, in your costume, you're to befriend them. So in Trinidad, I was asked to clown for 5 men who were hung the next day for capital crimes. They were murderers, and they were going to be killed the next day. What a privilege. 4 of them loved it. You can hope if you're going to be hung the next day, be happy. It's a little irritating to the execution. You must have friends. We are tribal people. I think the worst sociological decision in history was nuclear family. In no country is there a high percentage of couples that are healthy. Not one in the world. It's a dumb decision. It costs a huge amount to the environment because everyone wants their little half acre. We are tribal. If 10 families live together and 20 of them are workers, 15 can lose their job and they still are covered. One can become quadriplegic in a car accident and they're covered. Your tribe takes care of it. Wow. Freedom. New kind of freedom. Boredom. I actually have no personal experience with boredom. I try to understand what it's like. 500 billion brain cells, some with 10,000 connections. An infinite world up here. Infinite numbers of things to be interested in. person says they're bored, what are they really saying? Because I don't know what it is. I cannot imagine having a human brain and not being interested in a million things. Not just Sorowana, or Octavio Paz, or Pedro Paramo. Or cactus, or strange cucarachas. Who has eaten a cucaracha? The big kind. Okay, so boredom. I think of boredom as one of the great social controls of the capitalist system. What a great invention, the television. The television can take a person with an infinite brain and make them stupid. Wow! You don't have to put a gun to their head. Just steal their mind. Steal their mind. Make them able to watch advertisements all day long, where they objectify women and make you want to be a strong man. And make a school system. In the United States, 18% of high school graduates are functionally illiterate, meaning they've had 13 years of school and they can't read. What's wrong with that school system? Not to be interested. How do you get rid of mental illness? Be interested. Be interested in trees. Be interested in one kind of a tree. Forget all of the other kind of trees. Or be interested in all the trees. All the music. Be interested in everybody. Wake up interested. And you will never experience boredom. It is crippling to be bored. Very easy to take a bored person, give them a drug, make them dependent on the drug because it's the only time their brain seems to be somewhat interested, and then have them join a cartel. If you're really interested, unless you've been seduced by the capitalist system, you're not going to join the cartel. Fear. Fear was a great invention. Okay, you're a primitive Homo sapien. No cities, no cars, no iPhones. Maybe no language yet. Okay, and you're all together, and you don't have poison fangs, you don't have big claws, you're actually kind of not a very protective animal. So you stay together. You would never think, I'm going to go off on my own. You stay together. And that staying together is your security. But in the modern world, fear is another instrument of social control. Be frightened. In the United States, the temple of capitalism, which I think of as the worst disease of human history. Fear. So, in the United States, unless you're a millionaire, you fear going to the doctor because they might find something that costs $300,000 to get fixed. And you know that that would mean you lose your house. So you don't go to the doctor. There was just a drug company that took a pill that was selling for $13, and they said, instead of selling the pill for $13 a pill, we're going to sell it for $750 a pill, and that was fine. So the fear of losing your security, the fear of losing a friend. Are you not pretty enough? Are you not wealthy enough? Talented enough? That's why you have a community of people that you love and that love you. You have a quality of safety you cannot have by yourself. You can be really safe by yourself if you are twinkly and smiley and friendly. The world is your tribe, really. And you can try it and you will be amazed how true it is. Normally for this workshop, for this lecture, it's a 4-hour workshop with an hour and a half of exercises. Due to the shortness, I'm not going to describe those exercises and what they mean. But before I throw it open to questions, I want to say something, because a natural question would be, well, Patch, don't you ever get sad? Don't you ever get angry? I love the emotions. Let me give you my little introduction to evolution. Homo sapien, us, they say is 200,000 years old. Most all of that time, we wandered around naked. If we were in cold weather, we killed an animal and wrapped ourselves in that animal. And you yourself know that to be healthy yourself mentally is a big effort. And then you try to be healthy in a coupling, and that's even more difficult because you've got all of your stuff going on and all of their stuff going on. And that to be healthy in a tribe, almost no one tries tribe. Because they cannot imagine getting along with 20 people, 40 people. They say in those old days that maybe tribes were 35 to 40 people. And we're not even sure how to get along with ourselves. So I think if you think of evolution, the physical evolution had us stand up. You know, the gorillas walking on 4 feet. Then we stood up. Nice idea, because what did it do? It made our arms free to play the piano. And we also evolved to have an opposable thumb. Really good idea, because you could hold a club and eat. But how did the mind evolve? So I have this idea that thinking, love, humor, and other things evolved as a way to make healthy groupness. Okay, because by the time we became Homo sapiens, we've been a group animal for, some say, 80 million years. Let's say 50 million years. And that the more our brain grew, the more complicated it was to get along. So, what a great invention love was, because of how great an instrument that is to get along. How great is humor as an instrument to get along. And how great is love to get along. Love each other. That's what we're playing with on this farm trip. 40 people from 8, 9 countries, from ages teenager to 70s, every decade. Normally, you would never think that a group would be like that. And within 2 days, we love each other. We know that loving each other is a way for us to really get on together, as is humor. Thinking is more subtle, so we may not know how thinking is working in that, unless we're thinking that, wow, we're really getting along. What's happening? How is it working? How is it made? So, the emotions. I think the emotions evolved as sense organs for the mind. We have eyes for seeing, ears for hearing. How does the mind know what's going on? It has emotions. What a good thing, because you're in a relationship of love with somebody, and suddenly you see them sad. Wow. Ding, 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 ding. If you are in a relationship and you are sad, It's not sad, 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 and I'm just going to be sad, and oh God, I'm sad. I call that, I'm sorry to say it, masturbation. I'm sad, oh boy, I'm really sad. The point is, you're sad, get active, do something for the relationship so it goes away. Same with anger. If you're in a partnership and your partner makes you angry, it means need. The point is not to get angry back. Then then angry, and then angry, and then remember the anger on a good day so you still have that anger. That's how the emotions have been sponsored in the modern society. We do not think of them, we don't think of anger and sadness as good emotions. What a gift it is. How do we know there's something in our group? Okay, we're these 40-some people. If we saw someone angry in the group, it would not benefit us to all be angry back at that person.